Hey there, Lancaster. It's Monday at 2 o'clock. That means we're live here on Lancaster Connects, where you can catch everything live on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. And I want to start this show out right away. We have a gift for you, Lancaster. So it's holiday time. We're past Halloween. It's time to do holidays. We got Thanksgiving and Christmas right here. Our gift to you is come to Gardeners and get a great photo with your family. So we have set up a wonderful photo set for Thanksgiving holiday. So pumpkins and corn and mum's flowers. And we have that here at the store outside. And so there's our wonderful team on the photo set. Literally, you can drive up right in front of the guys is parking. You literally can drive up, have your family sit down. If you come throughout 11 to 4, Monday through Sunday, we have two people here always during those times for sure. We'll take a photo of you with your phone, your device, and get that for you for your family. So there's no cost for this. You can come, sit down right there, and enjoy a great photo and a great memory with your family. And we're doing that to make retail fun again and just be the store that's connected to our community. So please come out to Gardeners and get your holiday photo.
Love it. Look, there's our family.
There's our guys. Yeah, we were out to dinner with them Saturday night.
It's a great dinner.
It was.
I think
still have a belly full of food. It feels like. Yeah. So
it's a place you definitely have to pace yourself.
You do.
Before go to jail.
You do. Yeah. Yeah. So I wanted to get that a little tight there for the photos, but just to expand on it, please come get a photo with your family, bring your spouse, your kids, as many people as you want. It's totally free. We ask you to be respectful of the property. If you come here and we're a little busy and we don't have one of our team right available to take your photo, please remember we're doing this for free. But 11 to 4, Monday through Sunday is when we always have at least two people here. You can come anytime else so that we're open, but that time we'll definitely have two people here, and the likelihood you'll grab one person that can get your photo pretty quick is very high. We want this to be fun for you. You know, the thinking is, you don't have to go to not that we have anything against like Christmas tree farms or other excursions, but you don't have to drive way out of the way. We're central. I know some of them are starting to charge a little bit of an admission fee. There also isn't the need to go spend money on cotton candy and popcorn and caramel apples, right? That you might not want your kids to get. So just come and get your photo is the idea. And it's a nice little backdrop. That's very nice. And that's just right there for you. And so
we're also working with Whiff Roasters on the back end to get some of their special edition holiday coffees, coffee
okay,
take-ups.
So
you can,
coffee.
Come in and get a free cup of coffee. So kind of working on that on the back end.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
that was news to me. Did you just click at me like that? All right. Let's get into our rundown before Ben tries anything else that's
you never know.
Interesting. All right. So it's holiday time, so I figured we'd start this one off. Holiday Market on Adele. So this is the 8th year of the Holiday Market on Adele. This is at the Manheim Community Farm Show. They've got a wide variety of vendors, help you start your Christmas shopping. They have nonprofits that they'll be highlighting there. This is on November 9th from 9 to 1. So that is this coming Saturday. Already to say November 9th. It feels like it should be saying November 1st.
As a family, we were looking at the calendar. Thanksgiving is less than 4 weeks away, and less than 4 weeks after that is Christmas. Crazy.
Yeah.
All right. So Sunday, November 10th from 12 to 4 o'clock, Embodiment Wellness is sponsoring brunch and bachata on the terrace.
That's bachata.
Bachata? See, you never know what I'm going to do.
Can take the boy out of Boyertown, but not Boyertown.
I'm probably going to pronounce some of these other things wrong. So enjoy a lively atmosphere with some of the hottest salsa, bachata, merengue y mas.
I think you did. I think you did
all right. Brought to you by DJ Rumspringer. You got dance instruction, social dancing will keep you moving all afternoon. Indulge in light bites, grab a drink from our bar to complete your brunch experience. Tickets are $10 in advance or $15 at the door. Looks like Chris has got it up there on the screen. Thank you, Chris. Don't miss out on this perfect blend of music, dance, and brunch fun.
Yep.
Thanks for the mispronunciation.
For the help there.
Clarification.
On the Espanol.
Yeah. I took 1 year of Spanish in college and did not do well.
Yeah. Next up, Crafters Marketplace, hosted by Church of the Apostles. This is Saturday, November 9th as well. 9 to 3 features 20 talented handpicked vendors showcasing a beautiful array handmade treasures all kinds of things that you could imagine for Christmas there on the 9th at the Crafters Marketplace, 9 to 3 at the Church of the Apostles. That's 1850 Marietta Avenue in Lancaster.
Very cool. Did you know that there's ghost tours in Lancaster, which also means there's ghosts in Lancaster?
So does this mean we're shifting? Holidays in order is my philosophy. Now we're shifting backwards.
We're going back. There are ghosts in Lancaster, and apparently there are tours where you can, hear these ghost stories. Discover tales of a heartbroken spirit with walks along King Street, the Phantom of the Opera House, the other haunting stories of mysterious sightings, fatal curses, and restless ghosts. Join us for a candlelight ghost tour of downtown Lancaster Fridays and Saturdays in November. I did a ghost tour one time in New Orleans. That was really cool. I'm sure this one in Lancaster, very cool as well.
So you can get tickets right there. And we are getting all of this off of Facebook events. So just a little pro tip, you go to the events tab in your Facebook app or desktop, and you can search Lancaster, and then you can search this week or this month. And that's where we find these. And so I know we're talking them live over the air, and you might pick this up later. But that's how we find these. And if you want to get in our world, love and like and share the show, and then that pops up in our feed. And Sunday afternoons when I put this together, that's how you get on the show. And it's November. That means Veterans Day is around the corner. Thank you to all of our veterans that have served our nation and are with us today. Your sacrifice protects our freedoms. We appreciate you so much for that. And there is a Veterans Day Sunday brunch on Sunday, November 10th. Of course, Veterans Day being the 11th of November each month. But Sunday brunch has to happen on a Sunday. And this one's Sunday, November 10th at 10:30. And this is at the Providence Place Senior Living Center of Lancaster, which is 1380 Elm Avenue in Lancaster. Family and friends are welcome. You can have 4 guests per residence there and enjoy brunch with the loved ones. Adults are $15, kids 12 and under are $7. And of course, the residents are always complimentary. And so if you know somebody that's a resident there, thank them for their help or for their sacrifice for Veterans Day. And it could be a fun,
very cool,
fun Sunday brunch there that they're holding for their residents. So that's our rundown. Always bringing the show back to our community to connect it. That's what's called Lancaster Connects. And I think it's time, Ben, to bring our guest on.
We have a very patient guest waiting. There she is. She popped onto the screen there. We've got Kim McDevitt from Mental Health Associates of Lancaster. Kim, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Jeff. And actually, the name is Mental Health America of Lancaster County.
Okay.
It was Mental Health Association of Lancaster County.
I am so sorry.
So, no, it's okay. It's okay. We rebranded our name. So we are an affiliate of National MHA. We're the Lancaster County branch, but all the funding stays here in Lancaster County. And, our programming is catered to the needs of Lancaster County.
Oh, that's great. So let's start off. Let's hear all about what Mental Health America does and mission and values, and let's hear what you're all about there.
Well, we are actually 54 years old here in Lancaster County. So we've been here for that long, and our mission is to promote optimal mental health through advocacy, education, and support. Our vision is to see a society where mental wellness is the foundation of a healthy community. And we know that it is foundational. Mental health, there is no health without mental health, right? So we served over 12,000 folks in Lancaster County last year. So, since the pandemic, especially, we've been able to decrease stigma. That's the only good thing that came out of COVID. So we're opening the conversation, and we're starting to talk about mental health in a significant way. So I thank you for having us today.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, my oldest boy has this very much in view. He's worked very hard, focusing on a work-life balance for himself, soon to be 21. So I find that very cool for him. He keeps...
It's awesome, right?
Keeps all his old priorities in order. Yep.
Yeah, it's amazing. I think our generation, I'm a little older than you, but our generation is really talking about mental health, and we're guiding our children. So I see a significant shift in how we see mental health and what our next generation is doing to advocate for themselves. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Kim, we see that you're the executive director. What does that role encompass there?
Oh, It encompasses everything. So I'm HR, fundraising. I am, advocacy. As an executive director of a small nonprofit, small to mid-sized nonprofit, I really play or wear many hats, but it is not without an amazing team that supports the needs of our county. I couldn't be doing it with our team or our board, very dedicated board, and a dedicated team who is front and center. That's Elaine. She was dressed up for Halloween. She's fun. Anyone who calls the front desk will get Elaine, very happy heart. And these folks are really dedicated to serving the needs of the individuals that we provide. There's Frank, who does prison advocacy. Really, he was a corrections officer for many years, and he at the state prison, and he retired from there and joined our team about 2.5 years ago. So
very good,
pretty amazing team, very dedicated folks.
That's cool. And when Chris was scrolling through there, I saw Comp Here, which I know is one of the programs that you offer. We can talk about it a little bit. But I remember my grandmother, when she was alive more than 10 years ago, volunteered. So I don't know if that was through.
Sweet.
Yeah, I don't know if that was through MHA or another program, but I know that's what it was called. So
that's awesome.
What was the name of the program?
Comp Here, COMPEER.
Yes.
Yeah, Comp Here.
Actually, yeah. So, how long ago was that?
Oh my gosh. She passed away 10 years ago. So it would have been probably in the 10 years prior to that.
Right. So it would have been Lancaster Comp Here.
Okay.
We took over, the Comp Here program about 10 years ago.
Okay.
At MHA. I've been with MHA for 6 years. So it's an amazing program. One of my favorites here at MHA, Comp Here program. We're looking for volunteers. One thing that has decreased since COVID was the volunteers that provide that friendship to individuals. The program really is, it provides a friendship. That's it. You're not a therapist. You're not, you don't provide that type of mental health or emotional support. It's just a friendship. So you dedicate 4 hours a month to befriending someone who is might have struggled with like social anxiety or maybe has some developmental delays with mental health. And we pair you up with someone that has similar interests to you. And we have friendships that are over 25 years.
Wow.
So your grandmother was definitely one of our Comp Here volunteers.
Yeah, I remember she was paired with somebody and they would play cards and get together and
4 hours a month.
Shopping trips and stuff like that. That's cool.
Yeah, that's fun. Yeah. So that is, so for the audience today, if anyone wants to provide that gift of friendship, it's pretty amazing, pretty meaningful. It's 4 hours. Like you said, they played cards. Or they go shopping together, or they watch a movie, or have coffee, But it's just that gift of friendship. It's so critical, so important.
And that ties in. I mean, we talk about this often, usually towards the end of our time when we ask how our watchers and community can help. But right here, there's that time thing, time, talent, and treasure. So treasure is obviously donations. Talents are, if you can help with graphic design or grant writing, those are talents. And then time is how all of our charities, all of our associations, all of our programs local to us, that's how they affect their mission. Great people like Kim, they have to lead it and they have to look at the books and align the volunteers and get the program and get the grants. But all that's great, but it needs to happen. And so that's where the time component comes in. So if you want to make friends, there's a great program.
There you go. And also the time component, it's something, if you don't have the means to be able to financially support organizations, the time is just as valuable.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So you have a lot of programming
we
that
do.
you offer. I'm going to run down the list. We've already talked about Comp Here. I'll run down the list, and you just stopped me as you were excited about one. You're excited about them all. But
I am excited about them all.
But let's go into it. So we have adult advocacy, child family advocacy, CMAP, community mental health assistance program, CompHERE we talked about. I'll stop there.
Okay.
And maybe touch on those first few.
Yeah. So advocacy, adult advocacy is where we connect folks. We have systems advocacy and one-on-one advocacy. So we connect folks to like support programs, providers, so mental health providers. But we go one step further at MHA and we really support the individual. So we ensure that they are indeed connected. And sometimes they're afraid, right? To seek out some support or to find or to get involved with an agency or services. So we walk alongside them and we ensure that we're supporting them as they're finding those resources or maybe engaged in outpatient or even inpatient. Those are the toughest cases. The cases where someone's not comfortable, right? Or they're too anxious to get the help that they need. So we make sure that we are walking alongside them to provide them that hope that they can get the treatment that they need. And I mean, we've worked with individuals for over a year, just trying to get them connected. Sometimes because there are no services, but also because they might be fearful. Right. So it's building that relationship and having them trust us. And then the systems advocacy is at the legislative level. So how do we get more funding to Lancaster County? How do we advocate for more programming? And at MHA, we are not just, our programs. We provide advocacy for not only the individuals we serve, but the providers we serve, the agencies, the whole system. So the better the system is, the mental health system is in Lancaster County, the better our community is, the better our individuals are. So that's really big. Child and family advocacy, very similar, but focused on family and children. And we have IEP advocacy. So that's where someone who has an individualized educational program, we sit alongside them when they are, meeting with their schools, and we help advocate for that child's mental health needs or their learning needs. We actually you might have seen Dylan on our website. Dylan is a young fella that we worked with in child and family advocacy. He worked with Shelby, and Shelby worked to empower him so he could advocate for himself. And as a result, he was really struggling in school for many years. And it wasn't until he started working with Shelby that he was able to have the confidence to be able to advocate for himself. And he became an author. So, it's really cool. He just wrote his first book, and he has a series of books lined up to continue with, and he is thriving. He stops in to visit us every once in a while. But we are we're not adversarial. We work with school systems. We work with everyone, really, because again, we are just ensuring that, our folks are doing well and they're thriving. CompHERE, we talked about CMAP program is we provide 3 free counseling sessions to over 90 providers in Lancaster County. So for someone that does not have EAP, we have the Community Mental Health Assistance Program. And so it might be someone who just needs 3 sessions to get over, a tough time, or someone that's not sure that they want to start, they may not be able to afford it, or might feel uncomfortable. So that three session commitment is really helpful to them. And then we can continue it for another 3 if the therapist recommends it. But alongside that, we have support groups. So we have support groups here at MHA as well. And through that, we're able to get people to a better place, really. Those that have, don't have severe mental illness. We're able to support them through the CMAP program.
So a question that dawns on me as you're speaking and talking about all your great programming. So your view and maybe Mental Health America's view of mental health, is it more of like, it sounds like you have a holistic focus as opposed to here's a prescription focus.
Oh, yes, that's right. It is a holistic focus because we know for sustainability, right, of long-term health and wellness, it can't just be medication. It just can't be like one session. And I think that's why a lot of folks, a lot of agencies, providers, and other folks come to us and say, we want to fund you because we know that you are walking through the folks through a system, right? So it's that continuum of care, right? And wherever that entry point is, we build a relationship with you. You are, we don't consider you a patient. We consider you part of MHA. And along the way, you might have different needs depending on where you are, right? And so we work with you across the lifespan if needed. But yeah, it is a holistic approach. That's the best way to describe it, Jeff.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's not to say that, the professionals, I forget who can exactly prescribe, psychiatrists or psychologists. Either way, it's not to say that isn't needed, and it's not to exclude one over the other, but it is to say, from my view, these are my words now, that things can change. And let's say you lose your insurance, or let's say you keep your insurance, but what you're prescribed just doesn't fit, or it makes you feel different, or it has a physical side effect. Again, these are my words, but when you look at the root of an issue and you work towards that systematically through different programming and different assistance, to me, it's that holistic approach that makes the person so much more healthier and happier.
That's exactly right. And it's for long term, right? So an individual might be meeting with a therapist and they're not sure about their therapist, but we can advise them, it's not working for you. Let's try another therapist or give it a chance. So we can really support them through that process. If they're having adverse effects with their medications, we can advise them. We can also get individuals into care a lot sooner if we advocate for them. So, and then we also at Mental Health America, we recognize we can't do everything, right? So we're very much, we don't duplicate services. I'm a huge believer of that. We don't need to duplicate what already exists, right? So let's support our partners in this work. So, our first state grant, which was 2.5 years ago, we got a state grant. And what we did was we brought partners in so that they could support individuals along that continuum of care. So where are the gaps? What can we do? Can we stretch ourselves a little bit further to meet the gaps? And so it becomes a seamless, no one falls through the cracks. And that was the goal of that. And Lancaster County Community Foundation extended that support for another year. So we're 3 years in. And bringing partners in and really developing those relationships. And also in that, Jeff and Ben, we're able to identify what those providers need too, right? So, and then we can advocate for them at the systems level.
Yeah.
So it's been, yeah.
Kim, I'm wondering, when somebody has a need for the services that you offer, how do they find MHA?
So, MHA folks are referred to us by so many different sources, right? So it could be faith communities. We're really starting to do more work in faith communities, and at schools, right? Schools, providers will outreach to us, hospitals. So we work with hospital systems in all hospital systems in Lancaster County, and they refer folks to us. And then just word of mouth. But we are also expanding our workplace education. So we are able to, we're getting referrals from workplaces as well.
Oh, would you come into a business and give a presentation?
We would, yeah. So let's say a business comes to us and says, we have some folks that are really struggling right now, but we don't know how to handle it, right? So we come in and we could either provide education to the leadership team, or we could provide it to everyone on the team. What does stress look like? How can you handle it? What are some of the strategies to overcoming burnout in the workplace? So we provide education in all sectors. So we provide education to our youth, right? So, and Jeff, you talked about your 21-year-old son. I have 2 boys, as well, like tough guys, right? Played football and lacrosse in high school, but they recognize the signs and symptoms of their mental health, when they're struggling a little bit, and they're able to talk about it and overcome it way, way faster without all the anger, right? That you often see with male, depression and anxiety. And we provide, education in the workplace and faith communities. Lots of, Kegels. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. So the few other programming things that you do, you talked about educational programs, how you can come alongside mom and dad with that IEP plan, work with the schools and the counselors. Yep. And, I'm sure administration brings you in and all of that stuff. So you have that, but you also have prison programs, and Suicide Prevention Coalition. And then I do want to touch on your safe firearm storage, because I have something that I want to add there as well. But, talk about your Prison and Suicide Prevention Coalition and anything on education if we missed it.
Yeah, no. So education is expanding. And one thing that we do with education is for the businesses, we do a fee for service. So they provide like a donation, and then that supports some of our other programming for like education in schools and some of our other education. But moving on to the prison program, those folks in prison, oftentimes, some of their, offenses are as a result of mental health, right? Challenges, whatever that might be. It could be trauma. It could be a number of things, right? So, but there they are in prison without having the understanding of what, the underlying causes. No excuse, right? It's the cause, perhaps, of their offenses. So we provide education in the prison. We provide support groups, and we provide advocacy. So if an individual's in there and they're not getting their medication, or they're just about to be released from prison and they don't have their medication, we advocate. We make sure that they have everything they need to be not everything, but we can't provide everything, but we make sure they're connected so that they, thrive in the community. And I often liken it to like mothers bringing home a new baby without the support of a nursing staff. Imagine going out into a community after you've been in prison and you just are kind of at ground zero, right? So we make sure we provide that hope and that support as they embark on their life outside prison. And then suicide prevention. This is probably the toughest work we do. Personally, I think it's the toughest work we do. We have Question, Persuade, Refer, which is a training program where we train folks on how to ask those really difficult questions to someone that they see might be struggling, right? So asking that question, are you thinking about dying? Are you thinking about taking your own life, or whatever the question is that is most comfortable to that person? But that's a tough question to ask, but we share the importance and how to ask it and all those things through QPR. But the suicide prevention, we're analyzing the data in Lancaster County, and we're looking at what we should be doing. So we take firearms, the firearm storage, the firearm project is a result of us looking at the data. And 82% of firearm deaths were by suicide. So 82%, that's pretty significant, of firearm deaths were by suicide. So what could we be doing? And we partnered with Penn Medicine, LG Health to, distribute gun locks and gun safes and do gun safety. There you go. You guys are good. Firearm storage training, to make sure that we are, decreasing those deaths by suicide. So we're actually one of the top 5 counties in firearm deaths in Pennsylvania.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. And I said I had something to share on that. And so my view, so as a firearms owner, for hunting and target shooting, et cetera, all of my stuff is not only locked individually as each individual firearm, but it's also locked away in a cabinet and safe.
Mm-hmm.
And
wonderful. Yeah.
And I have taken some heat from friends that feel opposite of this.
Yeah.
And the reality is, you probably know where I'm going. The reality is these tragic deaths, suicide being one of them, which is tragic, but these accidental deaths. We had a child in Lancaster County pick up a firearm at a campground. It's needless. And I think, and I'll say it, if I was an attorney, I would be suing the firearms industry for the +1 advertisements of the capacity of their weapons. Because +1 means you're chambering a firearm. And the reason you chamber a firearm is you're in imminent danger. You're in a known dangerous area where you need to defend yourself. And that is just a fraction of a point of a percent of time when the average firearms owner is in that situation.
Right.
And it gives this false belief of how you should use a firearm. Now, I say all of that as an ardent supporter of Second Amendment rights. There's a balance. I can be that, and I can say what I just said. And when I saw this, I missed this on the notes prior to the show. They both can exist. It's an and thing. It's not a but or an or. Right. It's an and.
Well, you couldn't have said it any better, right? So we don't take a position, of course. We are just about the safety of the individuals and looking at our, the statistics and the data. It's and we just want, so these trainings we do them in conjunction with the sheriff's office. In fact, we just had one recently, a couple weeks ago, and it was the first time that we added the mental health education. So we piggybacked the training with the sheriff's office with mental health. And it was, it was a shift, right? Because it's a cultural thing, right? So it was a little bit of a shift for them. But, the attendees were so responsive, positively responsive, because they too recognize it only takes one time, or they also learned about suicide and mental health. And so they're even more committed to, safely lock up their firearms.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
after
awesome.
Hearing all that information. Yeah.
So I want to make sure we have time to talk about how the community can help MHA right here in Lancaster. I know there's a number of ways that we have listed out here on our notes. Yeah. I know one thing, it's November now, but every May is Mental Health Awareness Month. Can you talk a little bit about what happens in May and how you advocate in May and educate?
Right. So, in May we light up Lancaster in green, and that's really it's called Shine the Light, and we ask organizations, residents to light their house up in green, even just a small candle, and we distribute that. It's one way that we can reduce stigma. The more green we see, the more apt we are to talk about, the more we realize that others are struggling, and, that they're also supporting mental health. So we want to normalize mental health, and just, reducing that stigma and educating is a big piece of that. So throughout the month, we educate, we work on anti-stigma campaigns. So that's one of our big pushes. Of course, now we're in November, which is what this month is, Extra Give. So every nonprofit is talking about Extra Give and how they can support. We can't do this work without the, support of our community. So we're aiming to raise $40,000 this year for Extra Give. So we just need 400 people. If you have 400 people in your audience, to donate $100, but even $25 in memory of someone who may have died by suicide. or, maybe someone who's gone through counseling and realizes they have the means to pay for the expense of counseling. And so just, giving in that way, in support of someone else who might not have the means. And to continue the Compere program that we talked about at the top of the hour, to provide socialization and activities for that.
What I found on your website, Noodles Around the World.
Oh yeah.
What is that?
So Noodles, we shifted. So we used to, for many years, like 35 years, something like that. They used to have a spaghetti dinner, right? Like in a church hall. It was my church hall, actually. And this is before I knew about MHA. So it was kind of funny. And then I had to tell my church that we were, moving away from the church hall idea. And we hosted at Southern Market, and we wanted to pay homage to the Noodles, right? And all those years of dedicated supporters. So we hosted at Southern Market. So much fun. It's casual. But it's really bringing the mental health community together, to support. And last year we raised over 118,000. I think our website still says 113, and it was only our second year doing this at Southern Market. So that was, and we represent, it's around the world, right? So we represent, based on the vendors there.
Yeah. So Southern Market has, I don't know how many different food vendors, but each food vendor has, of course, their own twist on their cuisine. So every vendor has a different noodle dish. Is that the idea?
Yeah, we picked one noodle dish. And this year we're shifting our logo a little bit. So it's going to be noodling around mental health or something like that. So we don't have to be that committed to noodle dishes.
Oh, gotcha.
So we're trying to, as you can see, we're moving away from that. But yeah, it's, and the vendors are so awesome. We make sure to highlight them, and they also support our mission.
Wonderful.
And you obviously have sponsorships, as we shared and had up on the site. What's Gifts of Joy all about?
Oh, Gifts of Joy. We're in the thick of that right now. Gifts of Joy. What we do is we take referrals from case managers throughout Lancaster County. So it's not only case managers. We just, another nonprofit reached out to us, and asked if we could support their team, their individuals that they serve. So there's two criteria. One is they must have a mental health diagnosis. And the second is that they're not receiving a gift from a loved one. Anything's, they're kind of isolated, right? So right now, I think we're at like 456 referrals. So individuals, some of them are homeless, some of them are in the prison, some are just severely mentally ill. And other individuals, young kids, and they make a wish list with their case manager, and they submit that wish list to us. And then we get volunteers, the community, to come and or pick one of the gifts and provide a gift to someone. It is heartwarming to see some of the gift requests. Like we have an individual who asks for pet food every year for his pet, right? And that's all he asks for. Another one asked for a red scarf, and we got a thank you note like a year later saying that she wears her scarf every single day. So it's really amazing how grateful these individuals are for the gifts that they're receiving, the most basic needs too, oftentimes.
Yeah. So to help out with that, I know there's information on the website.
There is. So just go to mhalancaster.org, look under Gifts of Joy, and there you go. Or
That's cool.
/ Gifts of Joy. You can sign up for that.
So,
or we just reach out to MHA, actually. mhalancaster.org.
Yeah. So a couple notes I made as we're talking, so we'll kind of circle back a little bit. On the anti-stigma campaign, as you were talking about that, and the destigmatization of mental health and mental health awareness, dawns on me, I think. So let's go through. This is Jeff's, you're going to all experience Jeff's missed calling of being an attorney.
Oh, okay.
Many times.
All right. So
Okay, Jeff.
Mr. and Mrs. Jury Person, we've all heard and can agree the brain is the body's biggest muscle. We've all heard and agree the brain needs a constant workout. We've all heard and agree that we can hurt a muscle, maybe our forearm, our bicep, our quad, by straining it too much. And we know that there's an entire multi-billions of dollars of industry around diet, around exercise, around speed, agility, strength training, right? Yes. So where is the support for the biggest muscle on our brain?
That's exactly right. Do you want to follow me? Like, we can go on the road show or something. You said it so well. Wait, this is recorded, right? So I can copy this?
It is very much
That's
recorded.
So well said, Jeff. I really appreciate that. And I think there's really, one of the things that we've shifted toward is that neuroscience, right? So I shared with my team probably 3 years ago, I'm like, you know what? It's not respected. Our brain and mental health is not respected enough, right? That connection and the connection to physical health that mental health has, right? So I'm like, what is it that we're missing? And so it's that evidence that you can, the indicators in the brain that your brain is sick or it's not functioning properly, right? So we really moved to the neuroscience. And all to your point, right? There's just not enough respect. And we're working on that very hard at the national level, but it's just so slow to change. And it's been frustrating. But I see more headway since the pandemic than at any other time in our history. So, but we need to educate again, tying it into the physical that you just did, right?
Yeah.
That physical connection of the brain.
And so another thing that I jotted down as we're talking, and this is again, I'm not offering this to minimize the effects of mental health or to derail anybody in what they think about themselves or maybe their child. But I've observed in youth, I have a boy that's soon to be 21 and then a high schooler. And so for the last number of years, they've both been in high school. But I've seen this statement around, I've got PTSD. That gives me PTSD.
Yeah.
And I find that insulting to, we opened the show talking about veterans who've been in Iraq or Afghanistan or Vietnam War or the first Gulf War and, World War II. We still have some of those amazing veterans. Like there is a real place for PTSD to have occurred and a youth can have PTSD. However, getting your report in high school by next Friday, that's a challenge.
Right. So what's the difference between trauma, right?
Yes.
Like you're saying. Yeah. And we do that. We go into the schools and that's what we talk about. That's how we educate, right? Because, and so, just like, what does trauma look like really? Right. When do you need to see a therapist? So one thing that we did do after COVID is we shifted and everybody started seeing a therapist, right? So we were clogging up the system unnecessarily when maybe like a support group would be helpful to an individual, or maybe that connectedness, right? Just more social events and whatnot. So we are really looking at that. What does the individual really need? And we're trying to educate around that so that, it's not over sensationalized, right?
Right.
So I think that.
Is there one bit of advice that you could offer just to kind of drive this point home and put a bow on it, specifically for parents? Because, you have a child that brings you these high alarm bell phrases, PTSD, trauma. Again, we don't want to minimize it because we just never know what our kids could be exposed to or what's happened. But is there something that you could share to help parents or guardians or leaders understand and help that person recognize, okay, this is a challenge. It's not something you need to jump on a pill on. It's not something we need to drop everything and immediately turn our lives upside down. Is there a place to start there in that thinking?
Well, I think that connectedness, right? So that social media technology has, kind of interfered with our connectedness.
You don't say.
Yeah. And I did a 3-hour lecture on that alone. And the repercussions of that. And that was pre-COVID. So now it's even worse, right?
Yeah.
So we are, but really staying connected with your children and really getting to know them. You'll be able to see significant changes. And if you've built that relation, which is really key, you can't wait until they're, older, just building that relationship with them when they're young and really being in tune. So even educators really being in tune, and those that work with young people really being in tune with them. And again, normalizing the conversation. So it's not really, it's, just having a conversation around what mental health is, right? So like, if you're seeing changes or shifts, then you need to step in. Or if someone's been struggling for, to say it is one thing, right? But if you see changes, physical and emotional changes in them for a duration of time, then you can step in. And you know what? Let's face it. Like we were all young at one time, and we sensationalized everything, right? So that seems to be the thing. But really, just knowing your child. One thing. So I have 4 grandchildren, and my daughter was a teacher, and now she's home with them. But she does a lot around blowing bubbles before they have like temper tantrums. So,
Yes.
And just kind of teaching techniques on how to, decrease the exasperated emotional, reactions to things.
Yeah.
So does that answer your question, Jeff?
No, it does. I think it was good
question.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was good for our folks that are going to watch this, whether it's live or pick it up down the road, to hear. It'll probably be one of those things we always carve out the top 6 most viral moments according to AI from our recorded show. So I bet you this one makes it because it's important. And a lot of people can learn and grab onto it.
Right. So again, not to minimize, like you said, but it's just really to be connected to, and if you have any questions, reach out to us. I mean, we're able to kind of discern through these things and, and help you. It's just one call.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
This has been a lot of fun, Kim. Thank you. Thank you for your time and thank you for all the great that you do at Mental Health America. You shared you have 4 grandkids. Can we get to know you just a little bit better? So when people do reach out to Mental Health America, they see there's humans that are leading them. You have a great team, but let's learn a little bit more about you, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course.
You want to start it off?
I'll kick it off.
Ben loves Connection cocktail.
Oh, it's my favorite part.
His thing. He loves.
This is not a cocktail. This is a coffee. But so we're kind of like in the holiday season. We just passed Halloween. Some people are Halloween people. Some people are Thanksgiving, Christmas people, Easter, whatever. Do you have a favorite holiday or holiday tradition?
Well, it's funny because, you can tell I'm family centered, kids centered, right? So my favorite holiday used to be Halloween. Okay. And I was just at my daughter's, they were trick or treating. She lives in Ardmore, so it's pretty far, but, she's like, this is so anticlimactic. The kids were coming home from school and she didn't have anything planned. Because when they were little, I would have a whole table set up with these ghoulish, things, So I loved Halloween, making costumes for them. And it was such a creative holiday and the kids loved it. And it was just one day, come and gone. And now that they're older, I love Christmas because my kids still come from wherever they are in their pajamas. Sunday morning, we pretend they spent the night. Some of them can't spend the night. And we open gifts together in pajamas. We sing happy birthday to Jesus and we have a birthday cake and all that good stuff. But now it's really family centered, kid centered.
That's awesome to see how it's shifted, right? From
really
Halloween
shifted,
to,
Yep. And I don't know how much longer because now they'll probably want to stay home and, open gifts with their own kids. My daughter.
They'll always want to go to mom's house.
Yeah, it's so much fun. And one year a tree fell, which made it even more fun, right? Of course, I was the one that put it in the stand, but fell over in the middle of the gift opening. It's fun.
All right. So maybe this would this question would be appropriate maybe 10 or 15 years from now as that holiday tradition wanes. But for today, if you could travel back in time, where would you land? What time period or moment?
So
Place?
my own personal or just general?
For you.
Oh, for me. Okay. So it would probably be, I don't know why I keep returning to, when I was 7 years old, I came to the United States. I was born in Australia, lived in Greece, came when I was 7 years old. And I remember we landed in JFK, and I came from this small island where they didn't even have streetlights, right? And we didn't even have cars there. Like, we didn't have a car. It was an island. And so rolling down, it was raining, and my cousin showed me how to roll down the window and roll it back up. And that moment, it just opened up my world coming into JFK with all the lights and all the glitz. And it just felt amazing. And I just remember that joyous feeling.
Wow.
And that was at age 7 when everything was new. I mean, we didn't even speak the language.
Yeah.
So it was pretty cool. Or the 80s when they had really good music and the other time period that I think back.
If you love 80s music, and this is for you, Kim, anybody, 1985 radio on Pandora.
Oh.
If you just type in 1985 as like a suggestive, blow your mind.
Like all genres represented?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's great. It's a great one.
That's awesome. Yeah.
All right, Kim.
And the school dances and all that good stuff, right?
Yep. All right, last question. We're kind of in the middle of fall, creeping towards winter, I suppose, but we're still in fall. So what is your favorite fall thing to do in Lancaster County?
Well, Lancaster County has so much to offer us, right? So I just pretend I'm a tourist sometimes, especially in the fall. So the harvest, kicking off the harvest breakfast at the beginning of October, and then acting like a tourist, getting in my car and driving, picking up mom's pumpkins, stopping and getting some baked goods at the Amish stands, and just, getting lost in that's my favorite thing to do in the fall.
There's nothing wrong with being a tourist. Nothing wrong with that at all.
You don't even have to go far. You don't have to pay for a hotel room.
That's right.
There you go.
Your own Airbnb.
Very good.
At your house.
That's it. Yeah.
Very good.
So, yeah.
Thank you for being with us. We appreciate you.
Yeah. Thank you. And again, if anyone is interested in sponsoring, we have a pretty broad reach. Make sure they get great exposure. We are grateful to you for really bringing us in to share what we do. And we ask the community this is about the community, for the community.
And thanks for the work you do. It's fantastic. Yeah, important work. If you want to connect to Kim and her great team, MHA, that stands for Mental Health America, MHALancaster.org is the place to go. Check out all that they have to offer. And remember, it's about time, talent, and treasure as one of our watchers and listeners. If you can donate, please do. If you have time, please give it. And if you have talents, reach out through their website and see where they can put you. And I'm sure they will find a home, right, Kim?
We will. Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for being on the show. Have a great day.
Thank you for having me.
I bet Chris could put together an image of what a Watchener looks like.
I bet you if he asked AI, it would be pretty fun.
What is a Lancaster Connects Watchener?
They'll have 4 hands and,
What do you say about our watchers?
Have you ever asked AI to generate an image for you?
This is true.
It's a treat.
It's true, yeah. So it's more about the AI capability of creating an image that people look like.
Yes. No, it wasn't a judgment on our people. It was a judgment on AI image creation. So you have to be very good at prompting.
Yes.
We've talked about this today.
Yes, we have.
Yeah. So my sleep better tip actually ties kind of directly into our guest today and Mental Health America and MHA Lancaster. Again, if you need any connection there, MHALancaster.org. And so I thought this morning my sleep better tip would be to share with you about being grateful and gratitude, but I'm going to touch on grace. And so I know for a fact in prisons, there are some prisons, and I probably should have asked Kim this, but we'll put a bow tie on our time. There's an ancient Hawaiian healing technique called Hopo'o Ono Ono. I didn't sneeze and I didn't stutter.
You definitely didn't say that right.
I don't think I did, but because there's another P in here. But at any rate, there's 4 mantras around this, right? And so on the topic of grace and putting your mind at ease, which ties into great sleep and getting better sleep. And our mind is very strong. And there's, along with all the study of the brain and mental health, there's a ton of study of brain and sleep. And so this meaning, the 4 mantras of Ho'oponopono, I completely messed that up.
I'm going to give you grace on this one.
Yeah. You say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, and I love you. And so Google that. It's HO'Oponopono. And if you Google anything like that, that's what I did on my phone. Because as Kim touched on the prison work, I wanted to bring that up. So I decided to bring it up here. I know in prisons, there are some prisons that they're mental health leaders and leaders that are helping people that are hurt because hurt people hurt, which is why some people end up in prison. This is the focus that they have. And so I wanted to share that about the mind and about grace and gratitude. Really a great thing to have as a practice each day. That's my sleep better tip. And we've got things like that, but a lot more around sleep in our book, Sleep Better. And you can get that at gardnersmattressandmore.com/sleep-better.
Very good. Look, there she is. Yes, she looks like I'd expect watching her to look like.
There we go. That's a great one.
I know you could do that.
But I bet you if we shared the prompt, it's not just put watching her.
Probably not. All right. Testimonial time for Gardner's Mattress and More, the business with which we sit in. We had a review come in on the Google a couple weeks ago from Kaylin. And she wrote, we've now bought 2 mattresses here, meaning Gardner's, and the shopping with the guidance of Drew makes it easy. He was very patient and informative about our options and gave us plenty of time to try each type of mattress before making a decision. We appreciated his down-to-earth nature, which never felt pushy, and his depth of knowledge. So all the things we strive to be here at Gardner's. She also went on to say, finally, Gardner's does great work with supporting local nonprofits to support those moving into permanent housing with their mattress needs. And
there it is, what you're reading.
There it is. Look at that. These were not words just coming from my head. And actually this week we are doing a donation again, our monthly donation to Off the Streets. Great local organization getting people off the streets, of course, into more permanent housing. And monthly we're making twin and full mattress donations. And I believe we also have some sheets to donate this time as well.
We bought 164 sets of twin sheets because they were on closeout from a supplier. And they said, we'll give them to you at this incredible price. You have to take them all. And so
we took them all.
We took 164, which for them is about a year and a half, a little under a year and a half's worth of work for their current run rate. So yes, this is the ways we support our community because we believe we can't just sell you things. We have to support you as our community and our community is stronger because of it. Yeah.
So thank you, Kaylin, for your review.
Yep. Thanks for being a watcher of Lancaster Connects. You can watching it. You'd be watching it on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Or you can be watching and listening. That's the other part of it. On any place you might listen to podcasts. And you have as much joy as this individual.
Yes. She's very much into her show.
That's right.
Yep.
Ms. Watchner. We'll see you next week on Lancaster Connects. Take care.